Welcome to the E-Invoicing training as part of the Evolve Compliance implementation. New menu options have been introduced as part of the e-invoicing solution. The user will need to have access to these options. However, he will probably only be using the e-invoice operation, e-invoice finance, and e-invoice TO history. Generalized codes need to be set up as part of the e-invoicing setup to ensure that the PDF and the JSONs are created in the right place and the response from the IRP is coming back to QAD in the right folders for QXtend to pick it up and process. E-invoice underscore can fields store where the cancellation, extend, and update files generated from QAD are stored before they are sent over to the Evolve server. E-invoice underscore out stores the files that are generated from QAD and sent to Evolve. E-invoice underscore in store the files that are processed by Evolve and returned back to QAD. These paths are also very useful when troubleshooting any issues related to invoices not going from QAD to Evolve or the processed invoices not coming back from Evolve to QAD. The operational underscore gen codes are used to define the day books used for debit notes and credit notes. This is only required in case your debit notes and credit notes formats are different than the regular invoices. The XX INV print generalized codes are used to define which layouts are used when you for which particular invoices. Default underscore report contains the report code that is used for this print. Default underscore layout is the report definition that is used for this particular invoices. In case you have customer specific formats, the way you will set it up is that instead of using default underscore layout, the default will be replaced by the customer code. For e-way bills, transporter code and GSTIN, transporter GSTIN is mandatory. Define transporters in QAD like you would define any supplier using business relation, supplier create, and supplier data maintenance. Ensure you enter the GSTN ID of the transporter. E-invoice operation is the main browse used for e-invoicing process. After the user has completed his invoice post and print, the invoice will be visible in this browse. The user will select the invoice and press the process button. As soon as he presses the process button and presses search, the file name field will change either to IRN processing, new, or error. If the status changes to IRN processing, then the invoice has successfully generated and is available in the out folder for Evolve to pick it up and integrate with the IRP. If the status remains new, that means the QRF services are not running. If you are using QAD Cloud, please raise a ticket to QAD for the same. If it is on-premise, then please talk to your system administrators. If the status is error, which means that there is either a problem in the generalized codes that you have set up for the default print format or the layouts, or there is some error which has been caused in the QRS service. In case of error, go to the scheduled report history browse. You should see the record there with the error. Pick up the schedule ID from there. Take the schedule ID and go to the scheduled report history browse. Search that ID and you should see an error message. The error messages are normally self-explanatory. In case of any problems, please contact our help desk. To process an invoice, the user needs to select the invoice and press the process button. On pressing the process button, a new frame will pop up for e-way bill details. Enter the transporter code that you set up earlier in the supplier as a supplier. On entering the transporter ID, the transporter GST and ID will default automatically. Enter the vehicle number. The distance only needs to be entered if the buyer PIN code and the seller PIN code is the same. Enter the document ID and the document date received from the transporter. The transport mode as well as the vehicle type are default setup. In case of export, the port field will enable. Enter the port from where the shipment is going. Enter the state code of the port. For Chennai, enter 33 and enter the PIN code of the port. After ensuring that all the details are correct, press enter. The screen will now come back to the E-Invoice press. Press search and you will see the status has now changed to IRN processing. In about 5 seconds, once the user presses the search button again, in the file name, the status will now be changed to the invoice number.pdf, which means the stamped PDF is now available for the user to right click. All other details like the IRN number and other details are also updated back into QAD. There is another column for e-way bill where the e-way bill number.pdf will be available. The user can right click, open it and print the e-way bill from QAD. In case of any error due to integration, the file name will also start showing error as the term. On the right hand side, in the last column, in the second last column, there is also the word error. You can right click on that and it will take you to the evolve page where the error. If you have any problems, Aliter has a 24/7 support desk. The details of the support desk are mentioned below. Please use any of the methods to contact and Aliter team will get back to you as soon as possible.